Business Ideas 2026, The Soft Power Shift, Rewriting How Moms Build Wealth. The laptop screen glowed in the pre-dawn darkness, the only light in a house that hadn't woken yet. She sat there, coffee cooling beside her, staring at a blank document titled, Maybe This Time. The cursor blinked, waiting, just like she'd been waiting for permission that would never come. Because no one tells you that motherhood can feel like an eclipse, beautiful and all-consuming, but leaving you wondering where your own light went. She wasn't chasing empire. She was chasing Tuesday afternoons, where she didn't have to ask permission to buy groceries. The kind of freedom that fits in the margins of someone else's schedule, between the school run and soccer practice, between who she used to be and who she was becoming. But here's what they don't show you in the highlight reels: the beginning doesn't look like breakthrough. It looks like doubt at 3 in the morning, wondering if wanting more makes you selfish or just human. The shift started quietly, not with a business plan, but with a question she'd been afraid to ask out loud. What if the skills she'd been told to put aside, the patience, the emotional intelligence, the ability to see what people actually need, weren't detours from her career, but the foundation of something entirely new? Because while the world was busy celebrating disruption and hustle, something else was happening beneath the surface. A different kind of power was emerging, softer, more sustainable, and it was being built by women who'd learned to create value in the spaces everyone else overlooked. The data tells a story that traditional business schools are only starting to understand. Home-based businesses led by women are growing at rates that outpace nearly every other segment, not because they're following the old playbook, but because they're writing a new one entirely. She remembered the moment it clicked, not in a boardroom or a seminar, but standing in her kitchen, watching her daughter build an elaborate city out of cardboard boxes and masking tape. Pure creativity, zero budget, maximum impact. What would you have done in her place? The first idea came from the mess on her kitchen table, literally. Order forms for the school fundraiser, half-finished craft projects, her daughter's artwork covering every surface. She'd spent years organizing everyone else's chaos. What if that skill, that invisible labor, could become visible income? She started researching, not business opportunities, but patterns. What did other mothers ask her about? What problems did she solve without thinking? Where did her friends' conversations always circle back to? Virtual assistants for overwhelmed entrepreneurs. Not the corporate kind, the deeply human kind. The kind that remembered birthdays and managed the details that made clients feel seen. She already did this for free. For everyone. Then came the doubt. The kind that whispers louder than failure. Maybe she wasn't qualified. Maybe she needed more certifications, more experience, more proof that she deserved to take up space in the marketplace. Part of her still felt guilty for wanting more, as if ambition had to disappear the moment motherhood began. But she kept seeing it. Other women building quietly. A neighbor who'd turned her sourdough obsession into a subscription service that funded her daughter's college savings. A friend from Playgroup who created digital planners that earned more than her old corporate salary. None of them had asked permission either. The economics of 2026 had shifted in ways the headlines barely captured. Remote work wasn't just accepted, it was preferred. Digital products could be created once and sold infinitely. And the audiences hungry for authentic connection had learned to spot the difference between someone selling and someone serving. She took inventory. Not of what she lacked, but of what she already possessed. A phone, internet access, time stolen between obligations, and something more valuable than any of those: the ability to understand what people needed before they could articulate it themselves. Sometimes growth doesn't look like progress, it looks like staying. Staying present with the discomfort of being a beginner again. Staying committed when the first month brings more crickets than customers. Staying curious about why things weren't working instead of deciding they never would. Her first offer was simple. Almost embarrassingly so. She'd help small business owners manage their inboxes and calendars for 3 hours a week. $50 to start. Just to see if anyone would say yes. One person did, then another. Not because her marketing was sophisticated, it wasn't, but because her promise was specific and her delivery was excellent. She treated every client's business like it mattered, because to them, it did. The transformation didn't announce itself. There was no viral moment or sudden influx. Just small adjustments. Learning which clients energized her and which drained her, raising her rates when the value became undeniable, saying no to opportunities that paid but didn't align. She smiled, not because it was easy, but because it was finally hers. By month 6, something interesting happened. Her calendar filled not through marketing, but through referrals. She'd become known for something specific: helping wellness. Coaches and therapists managed the business side so they could focus on healing, a niche she hadn't planned but had discovered by paying attention to who she naturally served best. Recent research from entrepreneurship studies shows that businesses built around genuine expertise and relationship-based service models see client retention rates above 80%, dramatically higher than traditional transactional models. Trust, it turns out, is still the most valuable currency. But the real wealth wasn't just financial, it was temporal. the ability to attend the school play without requesting permission, to take a morning walk because her schedule allowed it, to model for her children that work could be something you designed rather than something you endured. Her workspace was still her kitchen counter, but it no longer felt like chaos. It felt like possibility. She'd learned something that no business course had taught her, that starting small wasn't settling. It was strategy. Every woman who'd built something sustainable had started exactly where she was, uncertain, under-resourced, unwilling to wait any longer. The landscape of 2026 rewards this approach. Digital tools have become so intuitive that technical skill is no longer the barrier. AI handles the tasks that used to require teams. Platforms connect creators directly with audiences. The infrastructure for solo entrepreneurship has never been more accessible. She watched others find their own versions. A former teacher creating educational resources for homeschooling families. A nurse launching a telehealth consulting service. An accountant offering bookkeeping specifically for creative freelancers. Each built on existing expertise. Each solving real problems for real people. What helped her most wasn't just discovering the right tools, though finding Canva for creating professional-looking materials without design, experience, or Notion for organizing her growing client base. Or even simple video lighting that made her look polished on client calls. It was realizing that she didn't need permission to start small. She'd tested several approaches before finding what truly worked. The low-cost business courses that gave her language for what she was building. The online communities where other mom entrepreneurs shared what actually moved the needle versus what just looked good on social media. The simple productivity planner that helped her protect both her business hours and her present moment parenting. This isn't a promotion, just an acknowledgement that the right resources at the right time can make an invisible path suddenly visible. She'd leave the links to what helped her in case someone else needed the same light she'd found. But the tools were never the point. The point was permission. The permission she'd finally given herself to want something beyond what she'd been told to want, to build something that served her life instead of consuming it. The resistance hadn't disappeared entirely. There were still days when the old voice returned, the one that said real businesses had offices and employees and venture capital, that what she was building was cute, not serious, a hobby, not a career. Then she looked at her bank account, at the clients who sent thank you notes saying she'd changed how their businesses ran, at her daughter asking if she could have a business too when she grew up. The evidence spoke louder than the doubt. She'd also learned what to avoid. The shiny object syndrome that promised overnight success through complex funnels and aggressive marketing. The comparison trap of Instagram entrepreneurs whose highlight reels bore no resemblance to their actual journey. The impulse to scale before she'd even solidified what she was scaling. Growth in 2026 looks different than it did a decade ago. It's not about going viral. It's about going deep. Building with intention. Creating value that compounds. Serving clients so well that your reputation does the marketing you can't afford to buy. What would you build if you knew it didn't have to be perfect right away? She discovered that the mothers building the most sustainable income streams shared certain patterns. They specialized rather than generalized. They charged what they were worth, even when it felt uncomfortable. They invested in themselves incrementally, one course, one tool, one skill at a time. They protected their energy as fiercely as their time. And they all started exactly where they were, not where they thought they should be. The economic undercurrents of this moment favor exactly this approach. Traditional employment increasingly offers less security than it promises. The cost of living demands multiple income streams, and the technology to build, market, and monetize without massive capital investment exists in everyone's pocket. But perhaps more importantly, audiences have grown exhausted by polish and performance. They're seeking genuine expertise delivered with genuine care, the kind of service that remembers their preferences, the kind of guidance that understands their constraints, the kind of business relationship that feels less like a transaction and more like partnership. She'd become that for her clients. Not by trying to be everything to everyone, but by being exceptional at something specific for someone specific. The coffee she poured now stayed hot longer. Not because her mornings were less chaotic, they weren't, but because she'd learned to claim the first hour before anyone else's needs could interrupt. That single hour of focused attention on her business had become non-negotiable, sacred, the foundation everything else was built on. When she looked back at that blank document from months ago, the one titled Maybe This Time, she barely recognized the woman who'd written it. Not because she'd become someone else, but because she'd finally become more fully herself. The numbers mattered, of course they did, but what mattered more was the shift in how she moved through her days. Present with her children because she wasn't resenting the time, present with her work because it energized rather than depleted her, present with herself because she'd stopped apologizing for taking up space. Disclaimer: this content is for educational purposes only and does not replace consultation or assistance from a professional. Always consult a qualified professional for any questions related to finance, business, or investments. Her story isn't unique, it's simply visible. Across the country, across the world, mothers are discovering the same thing that the skills developed in the trenches of early parenthood. translate directly into entrepreneurial advantage. Patience, adaptability, efficiency, emotional resilience. The ability to manage chaos while appearing calm. These aren't soft skills, they're survival skills, and they're becoming the most valuable skills in an economy that rewards human connection over automated transaction. She still doubted sometimes, still worried she was one mistake away from it all falling apart. But she'd learned to hear doubt differently, not as proof that she shouldn't continue, but as evidence that she was growing past what felt comfortable, because comfort never built anything worth building. When she poured her coffee the next morning, it was still hot. Not because the morning was any less full, but because she'd finally stopped rushing through her own life waiting for it to begin. This was it. The messy middle, the unglamorous building, the quiet revolution happening in kitchen corners and bedroom offices across the world. She was building, and it was enough. Tell us what part of this story resonated with you most, and where you're watching from. Your journey might just inspire the next one. Tell us which country or city you're watching from. See you in the next video. Bye.